You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Historical context. As one of the most respected emperors of Rome and a Stoic philosopher, Marcus Aurelius faced countless challenges, from wars and plagues to political intrigues. During these times, he kept a journal that would later become his famous Meditations, where he reminded himself to seek strength within rather than from outside circumstances. For Marcus, Stoic principles meant that the key to strength lay not in the control of the external world, but in self-mastery, which was reflected in his choices, thoughts, and inner calm. Modern relevance. Today, many people are burdened by anxiety stemming from trying to control or change their surroundings, be it others' opinions, job security, or unexpected events. Marcus's insight is timeless. We often don't have control over what happens around us, but we do have the power to choose our reactions. By focusing on our internal responses, we can cultivate resilience and inner peace. Real-life situations and examples. Dealing with uncertainty in the workplace. In a world where jobs are increasingly unstable, Marcus Aurelius's approach reminds us that the ultimate strength is the ability to stay calm and focused, regardless of external upheavals. An employee who encounters sudden shifts in their career can find strength by remembering that their peace of mind is not dictated by the external job market, but by their own focus and commitment to personal growth. For instance, someone facing a potential layoff might use this time to acquire new skills, network, or reconsider their career path without succumbing to panic. By focusing on what is within their control, like self-improvement, they can find resilience during tough times. Navigating relationships. In relationships, Marcus's philosophy teaches us to accept that we cannot control others, only how we respond to them. Whether it's a friend who withdraws, a family member with whom we disagree, or a partner with whom we have conflicts, focusing on our reactions can lead to healthier relationships. For example, a person in a difficult family situation could apply this wisdom by choosing patience and empathy, rather than allowing frustration or anger to dominate. They might decide to engage thoughtfully, prioritizing understanding over confrontation, thus nurturing a more harmonious dynamic. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Historical context. Marcus Aurelius placed great emphasis on the power of thoughts. In Meditations, he often reminded himself to maintain a disciplined mind, since he believed that our thoughts shape our entire experience of life. For Marcus, controlling one's inner dialogue meant choosing wisdom, patience, and resilience over anger or despair, thus keeping a sense of calm even amidst turmoil. Modern relevance. In modern life, where we face continuous stimulation and information overload, learning to filter our thoughts is vital for well-being. Negative thinking, self-criticism, and pessimism can easily lead to stress, anxiety, and frustration. By focusing on the quality of our thoughts, we can cultivate a more positive, balanced outlook, leading to a more fulfilling life. Real-life situations and examples. Dealing with daily stress. Stressful situations like traffic, work deadlines, or sudden disruptions can make people feel overwhelmed and unhappy. Instead of allowing frustration to dominate, Marcus would advise us to reflect on our thoughts and choose responses that promote inner peace. This could mean reframing a long wait in traffic as an opportunity for reflection, or viewing a difficult task at work as a chance to build patience and skills. For example, when faced with a high-pressure project, instead of dwelling on thoughts of failure, one might focus on thoughts of self-encouragement and perseverance. This shift in perspective reduces stress and enables a more composed, effective approach to the task. Cultivating self-acceptance. Often, people struggle with self-doubt, questioning their worth and abilities. By nurturing positive self-talk and focusing on the present moment rather than on past mistakes or future anxieties, one can increase self-acceptance. This approach aligns with Marcus's belief that the mind must be disciplined and directed towards constructive rather than destructive thinking. A person who constantly compares themselves to others may find relief by practicing gratitude for their unique journey and by focusing on their strengths. This shift can cultivate a sense of contentment, reducing the negative impact of self-criticism. Quote 3. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. B1. Historical context. In his writings, Marcus Aurelius expressed impatience with philosophical debates that focused on theoretical ideals rather than practical virtues. For him, Stoicism was a call to action, a set of principles to live by, not just to discuss. He believed that we should embody the values we aspire to rather than merely talk about them. Modern relevance. In a world where people often get lost in discussions about morality, Marcus's approach reminds us to focus on action rather than on rhetoric. Rather than debating what goodness means, it's more effective to demonstrate it through kindness, integrity, and empathy in our daily lives. Real-life situations and examples. Applying values in daily interactions. Many people feel pressured to live up to high moral standards, but often lose sight of practical ways to apply them. By following Marcus's advice, they could focus on being patient, kind, and understanding in everyday situations, rather than stressing over ideal behaviors or hypothetical scenarios. For instance, rather than debating the most ethical way to help someone in need, one could simply take direct action, offering assistance where possible. Such practical steps embody virtue in the way Marcus encouraged, transforming values into positive actions. Taking responsibility in challenging situations. It's easy to point fingers or blame circumstances when things go wrong. However, Marcus Aurelius's words encourage us to embody the virtues we value by taking responsibility for our actions. Instead of rationalizing away personal mistakes or focusing on others' faults, one could demonstrate integrity by acknowledging errors and working to correct them. For example, a person in a workplace conflict could focus on being honest, respectful, and solution-oriented, rather than getting bogged down in blame. This approach not only diffuses tension, but sets a constructive example for others.
It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Historical context. Seneca, a prominent Roman philosopher and statesman, was deeply interested in how people use their time. As someone who witnessed the extravagance and turmoil of the Roman court, he believed that many people, rather than living purposefully, squander their time on trivial pursuits. Seneca encouraged reflection on what truly matters and advised focusing on meaningful experiences and relationships to live a fuller, more purposeful life. Modern relevance. In today's world, where distractions are abundant, Seneca's insight is highly relevant. Many people feel that time slips away quickly, yet they often devote hours to entertainment or tasks that bring no long-term fulfillment. Seneca's advice encourages us to evaluate our priorities, avoid time-wasting activities, and engage in pursuits that bring value to our lives. Real-life situations and examples, evaluating priorities. In a busy world, many people fill their schedules with activities that don't necessarily add value or meaning to their lives. Seneca would argue for making conscious choices about how we spend our time, focusing on personal growth, meaningful relationships, and pursuits that align with our values. For example, someone who spends hours on social media each day might consider redirecting some of that time toward a hobby, self-improvement, or spending time with loved ones. This approach leads to a more balanced and fulfilling life, with time invested in things that matter, avoiding the trap of overcommitment. Often, people commit to too many responsibilities, leading to stress and exhaustion. Seneca's teachings suggest focusing on a few essential pursuits, rather than scattering energy across numerous obligations. By valuing quality over quantity, people can invest more deeply in what they choose to do. A professional juggling? Too many projects might apply Seneca's wisdom by prioritizing work that aligns with their goals, rather than saying yes to every request. This practice can reduce burnout and improve productivity, leading to a healthier, more balanced approach to life. Quote 2, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Historical context. Seneca believed that much of human suffering comes from anticipating problems or imagining worst-case scenarios rather than from actual events. His Stoic view emphasized staying present and responding to challenges only as they arise, rather than allowing hypothetical fears to cause undue stress. For Seneca, anxiety and worry were avoidable sources of suffering that could be managed through rational thinking and a focus on the present. Modern relevance. In today's fast-paced world, anxiety over the future is a common struggle. People often worry about potential outcomes, creating unnecessary stress. Seneca's words encourage us to challenge these fears, grounding ourselves in the present and reminding ourselves that imagined fears rarely come to pass. 2. Real-life situations and examples. Managing anxiety about the future. Many people experience anxiety related to their careers, health, or personal lives, often worrying about things that haven't happened. Seneca's advice to stay present can be a powerful tool for reducing this anxiety, helping individuals to focus on actionable steps rather than hypothetical scenarios. For instance, a person fearing job loss might calm their anxiety by concentrating on tasks they can control, such as building skills or networking, rather than fixating on an uncertain future. By taking constructive steps, they reduce stress and feel more empowered. Navigating social situations. Social anxiety often arises from fear of judgment or negative outcomes. Seneca's approach suggests focusing on one's actions rather than others' reactions, reducing imagined fears. By staying present and letting go of assumptions, people can experience social situations more positively. For example, someone nervous about an upcoming event could remind themselves that most fears are exaggerated and choose to enjoy the moment instead. By grounding themselves in the present, they reduce anxiety and foster a more enjoyable experience. Quote 3. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Historical context. Seneca emphasized the importance of surrounding oneself with people who inspire growth. He believed that our companions influence our behavior, and that by choosing friends wisely, we can elevate our character. This advice aligns with the Stoic ideal of seeking virtue and learning from those who embody wisdom and strength. Modern relevance. In the digital age, where people interact with others both online and offline, Seneca's advice is particularly relevant. Engaging with people who bring out our best qualities rather than those who lead us to distractions or negativity can have a significant impact on our lives. Seneca reminds us to be mindful of our relationships and seek companions who encourage personal growth. Real-life situations and examples. Building supportive social circles. Friendships and relationships play a central role in shaping our values and perspectives. Seneca's teachings suggest focusing on relationships that encourage us to be better, kinder, and more resilient, rather than those that foster negative habits. For instance, someone looking to improve their health or knowledge could seek friends with similar goals, forming a circle that supports positive habits. This supportive network can motivate them to stay committed to their goals and foster mutual growth. Navigating online interactions. In today's digital world, we're constantly exposed to different opinions and personalities. Seneca's advice can be applied by choosing to follow or interact with individuals who inspire and educate, rather than those who provoke stress or frustration. For example, rather than engaging in unproductive debates online, one could focus on learning from positive, insightful content creators. This choice leads to a more enriching and peaceful digital experience, with interactions that contribute positively to one's mindset. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Historical context. Epictetus, born into slavery, lived in a society where people had limited control over their lives. His teachings emphasize the power of acceptance and focus on what we can control: our thoughts, attitudes, and responses. Epictetus encouraged people to acknowledge that many aspects of life are beyond our influence, and that inner peace is found by accepting what cannot be changed. Modern relevance. Today, life is full of unpredictable events, from economic shifts to personal challenges. Epictetus's philosophy is a reminder that, although we can't control everything, we can still shape our inner world. By choosing how we respond to adversity, we can foster resilience and reduce unnecessary suffering. Real-life situations and examples. Dealing with financial hardships. Many people face economic challenges, from job loss to unexpected expenses. Epictetus's wisdom suggests focusing on how to adapt rather than stressing over the situation. By directing attention toward manageable actions, budgeting, upskilling, or exploring new opportunities, one can reduce stress and maintain hope. For instance, someone dealing with unexpected financial difficulties might focus on practical solutions, rather than feeling overwhelmed. By accepting the reality of the situation and taking proactive steps, they regain a sense of control and reduce worry. Accepting personal limitations. People often struggle with accepting personal weaknesses or limits. Epictetus's teachings remind us to focus on growth rather than perfection, embracing imperfections as part of the human experience. A person feeling discouraged by a skill they find difficult could practice patience and self-compassion, seeing each attempt as a learning experience. This shift in perspective reduces frustration and promotes steady improvement, aligning with Epictetus's approach of responding thoughtfully to challenges. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these." Historical context. Epictetus emphasized humility and self-awareness. He taught that, instead of becoming defensive or upset when criticized, we should acknowledge our flaws and continue working on them. By focusing on personal growth rather than on the opinions of others, one can cultivate resilience and peace of mind. Modern relevance. In today's social media-driven world, people often feel the pressure of external judgment. Epictetus's teaching is a reminder that we don't need to defend ourselves against every critique. Instead, we can choose humility and self-acceptance, recognizing that criticism is part of life. Real-life situations and examples. Handling criticism in the workplace. Receiving criticism at work can be challenging, especially in high-stakes environments. Rather than becoming defensive, Epictetus's wisdom suggests embracing feedback as a way to grow. For example, a person who receives constructive criticism on a project might accept it with humility, using it to improve their skills. This approach fosters resilience as they learn to value feedback for growth rather than taking it personally. Managing social media criticism. With constant online interactions, social media often exposes individuals to criticism. Epictetus would encourage people to view such criticism with detachment, understanding that opinions don't define them. For instance, a person receiving negative comments on a post might respond with humor or choose not to react at all, showing they value their own self-respect over external opinions. This response cultivates self-confidence and reduces the stress of validation seeking. Quote 3, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things which lie beyond our control." Historical context. Epictetus taught that true freedom is achieved by letting go of attachments to things outside our control. Born into slavery, he understood firsthand how external circumstances could limit physical freedom, but he believed that inner freedom, grounded in choice and attitude, was always within reach. Modern relevance. Today, many people feel constrained by external factors like social expectations, financial status, or relationships. Epictetus's insight encourages us to seek freedom, not through external means, but by controlling our inner world, releasing ourselves from the burden of things beyond our control. Real-life situations and examples letting go of others' expectations. People often feel pressured to meet others' expectations, leading to stress and unhappiness. Epictetus would advise focusing on self-acceptance rather than trying to please everyone. By letting go of the need for approval, one achieves a sense of freedom. For example, someone feeling pressured by their family expectations might choose to follow their own path, understanding that their happiness is within their control, not dictated by others' opinions. Overcoming fear of failure. Fear of failure often stops people from taking risks. Epictetus encourages letting go of this fear, focusing instead on what can be learned from the experience. By reframing failure as a stepping stone rather than an end, one can find freedom to pursue meaningful goals. A person considering a career change might feel anxious about potential setbacks. By embracing the uncertainty and focusing on their own effort, they can move forward with confidence, free from the fear of failure.